Yo, Devy junkies. Welcome to another Devy Dashboard production. I am Brandon Lejeune, host of the Devy Deep Dive podcast and creator of the Devy Dashboard. I am joined again by my two favorite dashboard contributors, Corey Piera and Britt Sanders. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. We are going to talk about ourselves. We did a show about our buys. We did a show about our deep sleepers. And now we're going to talk about some guys who we are ready to possibly say goodbye to, possibly put into a trade, possibly just, these are guys I'm going to start off. And these are guys, to me, my first player that I'm going to talk about is Jerry Neely. Just going to get right into it. All right. So why is he a sell for me? I'm just going to come right out and say I think size matters in the NFL. All right. Now, he is 5'8", 190 pounds. All right. Now, Jerry Neely 2 years ago was a Devy darling. He was a high recruit. He's got the lateral movement skills. He's explosive with the ball in his hands. Great pass catcher. He's super productive. Last year, he had 147 attempts, 745 yards, just averaged over 5 yards a carry. But I think that I'm concerned about his size, right? So I want to give out some names to the NFL. I'm going to take a little different tact instead of going through all his skill sets and all that, because he's an explosive player, right? But the bottom line is when we play Devy, at least when I play Devy, or even in a C2C league, as much as I want to score in the college side of my C2C leagues, I'm always looking for NFL talent. So I got to ask myself, all right, is Jerry Neely, if I got him on my roster right now, do I believe that he is going to be a dynasty asset for me in the future? Okay. And my answer is I'm not sure. And if it is, it's going to be on a very complimentary role. So I want to just give out some numbers here. So Jerry Neely is 5'8", 190. He's the exact same size as Philip Lindsay. Okay, who we know now went to, from the Broncos. He's now on the Texans, right? Tariq Cohen, 190 pounds. Nyheim Hines, 196 pounds. KJ McKissick, 195 pounds. Javian Hawkins, 196. Jarrett Patterson, 196 as well. Those are the only players in our dashboard, in our dynasty players in our dashboard that weigh under 190 pounds. So if Jerry Neely, to me, does not even get to 200, I mean, those are the player comps that we're looking at that he could possibly be. I think he could be possibly a Nyheim Hines, but I mean, Nyheim Hines right now is a asset that is fading, especially with Jonathan Taylor there with the Colts now. But again, these guys maybe come out a year or two, but then they fade because they just don't have the size. So for me, my sell is love the kid, love his skill set. He's a great college player. I just have my real doubts that he is going to be an NFL dynasty asset. That's going to be nothing more than a possible flex late round rookie pick, unless he just falls into the perfect NFL situation. But he's never going to lead in an NFL backfield. He's always going to be part of a committee. So he is my sell, Jerry Neely of Ole Miss. All right, Britt, what you got?
I'm going to continue with the name of first letter starting with a J, and I'm going to sell Jalen McDaniel, which is weird because he is a freshman, and we're supposed to love freshmen because they're shiny and they're new and they're just all the new hotness and they're so excited. And honestly, this is less about McMillan as a talent and more about the team that he is on, right? So I don't believe that McMillan possesses the elite traits to excel in the current environment and structure that he is in. Let me break down why. Jimmy Lake is the head coach of the UW offense, previously the defensive coordinator under Chris Peterson. He is signed from 2019 until 2025. Under the Chris Peterson regime, the run-to-pass ratio was a 48% run pass to a 52% run. So they were a little run heavy. Now, granted, these are 4 games with Jimmy Lakes, and so I want to be announced that this is could potentially change. But that went from a 48 to 52 to a 42% pass rate to a 58% run percentage. That is a tremendous switch. And what that shows me with Jimmy Lakes being a defensive coordinator, and what we know about defensive coordinators that turn into head coaches is they want to keep their defense fresh and protect the ball, which means a lot of running, actually a ton of running, which, if you know, doesn't bode well for wide receivers, right? They have Sam Heward coming in eventually. They have Dylan Moore, the quarterback. They also brought in a couple other kids. There's going to be a very interesting quarterback battle this year. But ultimately, what I see that spelling for Jalen McDaniel is limited opportunity. And with limited opportunity from a just overall perspective of the pie because he's going to have plenty of time to get on the field. I just worry about his ability to make an impact strong enough to make an impression on the NFL teams. Also, our track history of UW prospects into NFL is very bleak. We have John Ross, who is a first-round flameout, and then we have Dante Pettis, who had a one great season and is now doing his graduate degree because he is not on an NFL team. So I'm strongly concerned with just about any UW athlete. And unfortunately, Jalen McMillan is one of those guys that I'm going to be selling just strictly because I don't trust that UW team. And I don't think they're in the right direction. I think they're in a downward trajectory, and they're just kind of doing the anti-Chris Peterson, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, he was a really popular guy. I mean, even in his last year, people were still really high on him. So, yeah, I don't disagree with you. You know, we did a buy shell or a deep dive, a deep sleeper show previously, and I had a Dunze who also plays for that. So you just took the shine off my sleeper pick. I just want to let you know, Britt. So
that's what I'm here for.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, Corey, who's your first sell? Who's your first Devy sell, buddy? I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, so I'm going to head over to UCLA for my first sell. Going to be running back Zach Charbonnet. And as we know, Zach Charbonnet's had a little bit of a whirlwind with his Devy value. He's gone up and down, borderline 5-star prospect, committed to a good program in Michigan, great size, 6'2", 220. So, and he had a decent freshman season. So finished with over 700 yards for them. I had a 4.9 clip, which was okay. Wasn't anything great, but he did have an impressive 11 touchdowns, which I believe was a freshman record for Michigan. But his concerns really started for me there in that first year. And I mean, starting from a film perspective, I didn't think that he looked like that fluid of a mover, right? He struck me as more of a between the tackles banger, a one-cut runner. He didn't have a ton of bursts. You even look at his 11 touchdowns from this past year, and he didn't have a single touchdown over 12 yards. And I mean, 9 of the 11 were under 7 yards. So, I mean, this guy was really excelling in short yardage situations, goal line situations due to that powerful, sturdy frame that he carries, right? That 6'2", 220. And I really didn't see him creating a lot beyond what was blocked for him. You know what I mean? He wasn't somebody who was doing a lot of creation on his own. So, I mean, they even had a different fellow freshman there by the name of Hassan Haskins, who, he's okay in his own right, good college back. But I actually thought he looked better than him at times during that season. I mean, he finished with a higher yards per carry. He was finished within 100 yards of him by the end of the season. And apparently Michigan thought so too, because the following year, Michigan made him the starter in a sense. I know Zach Charbonnet had a little bit of injury problems, but essentially he faded. I mean, he was healthy at times. There was times he was finishing with 3 carries, whatever. Like Hassan Haskins was the guy. Finished with 61 carries. Charbonnet finished with 19. I mean, he ended up transferring. He had to go to UCLA. Essentially, this has reignited his Devy value, right? I mean, he's currently sitting in the top 100, I think, everywhere I look. I think our ADP has him at 86. The Devy Watch has got him in the 80s. Other people have got him way up in that range as well. So I think this is a great time to sell him, because I think this is your one chance before he kind of possibly falters again for you to sell him with his reignited value. I think Britton Brown, who was a running back for UCLA last year, grad transfer, is actually a pretty damn good player. And he brings a lot of the same skill set that Charbonnet brings. So, I mean, you're going to be fighting each other for the same role, essentially. And I don't think Britton Brown's going anywhere. He was a grad transfer last year. He decided to return this year. So, I mean, they got to be, obviously, he's expecting a large workload. The coaching staff has done nothing but talk this guy up as their runner. So I really think right now is your chance to sell Zach Charbonnet while he's got the hype going into this year as the new starter for UCLA.
Yeah, very nice. I did a film, all 22 film study on him a year or two ago after his freshman year. And I see what you're saying, the one cut, a bigger kid, so it'll be interesting to see what his opportunity is with Chip Kelly this year. So I guess, go ahead.
Corey, I hate you. I hate you. I was excited. I was like, hey, Charbonnet, this is fun. And now I'm depressed and it's sunny and now I don't know how to feel anymore.
I'm a killer of dreams, man. I don't know what to say.
It's a tough job.
All right, so I'm going to talk about
not as bad as Brandon, though.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know. I'm like Mr. Negative guy, when it comes to scouting freaking running backs, right? So I guess I'm going to be Mr. Negative Nelly here talking about this guy because my sell right now, I'm going to go opposite of Corey to sell now. I'm going to say my sell player, I want you to hold tight. Don't do it now. but to just consider and just watch some film on Eric Gray. He is my Devy Cell player right now. And let me tell you why. All right. So, I did film. What's that? Yeah. Well, look, yeah, I know you guys watching out there, you're probably like, oh, Gray, because, after we got Hall next year, we got Spiller. Right after that, it's wide open. It's going to be a horse race to see who the RB3 is. A lot of people have Gray up top, right? I just question, to summarize up front, I question his play strength. And again, I'm looking at Gray, is he going to make it to my dynasty roster, right? He's going to be productive. He's going to Oklahoma, right? He's really excited. So why is Eric Gray? He's a high Devy asset right now. Back in 2019, he ran for 772 yards as a freshman, averaged 4.9 yards a carry. He was the MVP in the Gator Bowl back in 2019. He blew up at Vanderbilt the last game of the regular season in 2019. So he got vaulted up in there, right? So last year, again, productive season as well, 772 yards, average 4.9 yards carry. He had 4 touchdowns. All right. So he's 5'10", 205 pounds. Now I just made film films of watching every carry and reception, the games that he played against Florida in 2020, Alabama in 2020, and UGA. Now, against Georgia, he averaged 3.1 yards a carry. In Alabama, he averaged 3 yards a carry. And in Florida, he only averaged 3.9 yards a carry. So you can make an argument the Tennessee offensive line sucked. I get it. Understandable. Very valid point. Harrison Bailey struggled last year, stacking the boxes against him. But again, he has the lateral quickness. I put a video out there when he was a freshman and he did a drop cut and he did a drop step cut. I mean, so he's got the lateral movement skills. He's got the burst. So his overall game to me is not all bad from what I watch, but I question his play strength at the point of contact. I question his contact balance. So if you really watch the way he finishes runs, all right, he just doesn't finish strong for me. And I think that play strength plays a huge role for me in my scouting ability. So I'm looking at him. I'm using him as a sell. I have shares of him, and I'm going to probably try and move him after week 2 or 3 of this season. When he goes to Oklahoma, it's increased his value tremendously. But high production players don't always necessarily mean they're going to be NFL talent. So you got to keep that in mind. So just one little example. I want you to go watch the 2020 Gator Bowl game. I want you to go to the fourth quarter. And I want you, 6 minutes and 51 seconds left in the fourth quarter, he catches the pass play. So to have a little bit of fun with this cell player, I want you to go watch that play and then tell me what you think of his play strength. And go watch those videos I put on my YouTube channel against those 3 top-tier teams. I want to watch Eric Gray against the top talent and see how he manipulates those defenders and how he can finish runs. And he's just a guy that I think is a nice college player, but I don't see him having the play strength in big lower half where he looks like he is dominating at the NFL level. So that is my second sell. I know a lot of you are probably very disappointed. So, all right, Bert, who you got?
They shouldn't be, because why I love this, just before I get into ruining other people's hopes and dreams it's excited, but Eric Gray is the best type of candidate to use as a Devy stepping stone to solidifying your NFL team, right? Because everyone's going to be all hyped up because he's been getting all these great yards and all this production in Oklahoma, in Oklahoma. And you just kind of slip him in, you go add an additional player, and you bolster your NFL squad to win now this year. So that's a great player to be trading. Another great player to be trading probably now instead of or at the end of the season is Chris Olave. Now, I actually am having knives thrown at me right now, right? Brandon may having some pitchforks. Folks are going to start stalking me because Chris Olave, for whatever reason, is just this enshrined player. I think there is a very prominent guy that ranks Chris Olave #1 wide receiver overall. And this is my concern with Chris Olave, right? When a player decides to go back for their 4th year, and they've had a pretty good profile collegiately, right? He had 2019 and 2020. He did relatively well with what he was given, and then he chose to go back. So what that shows me is that 2 things. Either the NFL said, hey, listen, kid, you don't got it yet. Your draft grade's going to be low. Go back for another year because you're not going to like where you're at. Or He doesn't think he's good enough to compete with that draft class. And he wants to go to a secondary draft class to gain more of a profile edge. And either way, that isn't showing me any predictive measures or anything that he is going to be a wide receiver I want to own in the NFL. Why would I want to roster somebody that doesn't believe in themselves against a competition going into the class, right? Very rarely do we have last year's production with Devonta Smith and Najee Harris, right? Usually when a guy goes back for their fourth season or fifth season, they absolutely fall on their face. And he's going to need to have a Devonta Smith level type of blow up year to make this decision going back worthwhile. And let's be honest, it's not likely, right? Like they don't have Justin Fields throwing him the ball. They don't have what Devonta Smith had with Jalen Waddle going down. He's going to be battling Garrett Wilson. He's going to be battling Jackson Smith and Najigba. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. And I think this is a colossal mistake for his future and for his draft stock. And also Chris Olave, when I look at him, like you always hear, oh, the OSU wide receivers are never successful in the NFL. They're never successful, right? You get more Chris Olave type wide receivers in the NFL than you're going to get Terry McLaurin's and Michael Thomas, right? Chris Olave, I believe, is a quintessential wide receiver that does really good in college and then comes to the NFL and pewters out really, really quickly. I think you can sell him right now really high, and I think this is probably as close to his peak value is going to be. I think he's probably a day 2 pick, probably late round 2, mid round 3 type of guy in the NFL draft as of right now.
Cool. I love it, man. This is what this show's about, is because a lot of these guys aren't going to hit that we all think are, right? I mean, that's just what reality is. And we all see things differently. So, whether you believe, what we're saying or whatever, it doesn't matter. At least we're pointing it out to you and you can make your own decision, because obviously that's what you're going to do anyway with your team. But it's really nice to get a different point of view and not go through the groupthink of Twitter and, the herd mentality of you're supposed to like a player just because like everybody else does. It's really good to kind of pick holes against some of these top tier players and find deficiencies in them. And that's what we're trying to do here tonight. So, all right, Corey, who's your second player, pal?
Yeah, guys, I like those picks. Those are some spicy picks right there. I'm going to try to top them right here because I'm going with Texas running back Bijan Robinson. No, I'm just joking. Nobody kill me, okay? I'm staying safe here, all right? So I'm going to head over to Clemson here, and I'm going to go with a wide receiver by the name of Justin Ross. Okay, this one still might sting some people a little bit as well, but I mean, honestly, who can forget the 2018 freshman season he had? We're talking about 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, almost 22 yards per catch. I mean, finishing it off with a national championship. There's not much more you can ask for from a true freshman season, right? And I mean, I even remember reading an article shortly after that freshman season where an NFL executive was saying Lawrence and Ross were probably 2 prospects that could enter the NFL this year and not skip a beat. Like they would be ready to produce on the NFL level right away, right? So I was even big on Ross. I was ready to go all in. I was trying to acquire him everywhere. I believe he was even the Hot 101 that year in Devy following that season, And I mean, he followed it up with kind of a so-so season. I mean, it definitely didn't reach a lot of lofty expectations. I mean, I think he finished as Clemson's second leading wide receiver. He finished just shy of 900 yards. The volume did go up. I think he went from like under 50 catches to like just about 70. And he had a 13.1 yards per catch. Like, so really it all kind of came down a little bit. And a lot of people were ready to give him a pass or whatever, maybe just a sophomore slump, whatever. But the biggest hit came the following year when he'd be diagnosed with a career-threatening spinal injury, right? And I mean, it's just awful news for the guy, right? A huge hit to Devy owners, but just awful news to him. His football career was over, right? I mean, until December of last year, when Dabo decided to let everybody know that, yeah, he expects Ross to come back next year. And not only that, he expects him to be ready for spring. And to my knowledge, he's been participating in spring, albeit in a non-contact fashion. He's still not fully up to speed yet, and there is some concern there. Yeah, but yeah, so as of today, they're still fully expecting him to be hitting the field and playing in 2021. So, I mean, he's skyrocketing up boards. He's back being mocked into the first round of NFL drafts. He's back in about the 4th or 5th round of Devy drafts. And to me, this is just more about risk avoidance than anything, right? I mean, this guy, he didn't have the craziest sophomore season. He's a little bit of that bigger body wide receiver that the NFL is kind of trending away from. He's not like the most agile guy. He's not the craziest guy. He's kind of that Juju Smith slot, big role that he's going to kind of play this year for Clemson. And, you know, and it just leads me to kind of want to get out while I can. You know, who knows how the combine medicals are going to show up on this guy's spinal injury. You know, spinal injuries are no joke. I have no idea what's going to happen with this guy. So for me, this is just about more risk avoidance. And when I see that value has gone back up to the 4th round, 5th round, like, to me, it's time to get out while I still can and sell him for that name value.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, that's the decision we all have to make, you know, when we're looking at these players, is determining the value that we have, because the value is in to each person is different. So I love the call. It's like I said on a previous show too. I just can't wait to see Clemson, Ohio State, and Bama. These offenses to me are going to be so fascinating. You know, because I'm a Joe Nagata guy. You know, I mean, I really like what I see with him, and I've got so many shares of him. So I can't wait to just see what Nagata does and see, you know, EJ Williams and all those players. It's going to be great, man. So there you go. You got 6 names, 6 players that you can look at and maybe do a little bit more research. If you like any of these players that, you know, we're talking as sells, then you can certainly maybe do some more research, or, you know, just hang tight, whatever you want to do, man. But it's a great show, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we got lots more stuff coming down the pike. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.
See you guys.
Take it easy.